Hey, how's it going, everybody? Yeah, I'm just gonna do a review on the Matco ratchets. Um, I've had them for about a year and a half now. Um, yeah, the initial reason that I bought Matco ratchets is because in our area we have two tool trucks. We got a Matco truck and a Snap-on truck, and yeah, at the time, the Snap-on dealer that we had was not super reliable and not the easiest to deal with. So, um, yeah, I decided to go with Matco, and I also really like the colors. Matco offers purple, Snap-on does not, and Matco also made a cool pink breast cancer awareness comfort grip handle in the 3/8 drive, so I really like that. So yeah, I decided to go with Matco ratchets, and yeah. So the reason that these basically look brand new is because they are. We have the exact same ratchets in our company toolbox at the company that I work for, so and a full setup of company tools. So I don't really have to use my personal tools very much, which is why these look brand new. Yeah, but I will kind of be reviewing based off of the experience that I've had with them. So here they are. Here's the Matco ratchets. I've got the whole kind of setup here. 1/2 inch, 3/8 quarter drive. And yeah, we'll start with the handles. So the handles are good. I think the one downside from Matco is I asked the Matco dealer if the handles need to be replaced, can they replace them? And the answer that he told me was no. I'm not really sure why. I do know that Snap-on will press on new handles for you. But to me, that's not the greatest. And kind of what it signals for me is, you know, either Matco knows that these ratchets won't last a lifetime, and so, you know, they're not willing to put new handles on them, or they just don't want to, you know, they want to sell the ratchet once and then they don't want to see it again. So to me, it's not really a great look. You know, tool truck tools are meant to be tools for life. They're meant to be tools that you can purchase once and they last you a lifetime or your whole career. So really every aspect of them should be repairable or rebuildable. And that's, to me, that's a red flag. But aside from that, the handles are great. They're comfortable. They have nice colors, a nice color selection. Yeah, no complaints there really. Aside from not being able to put new ones on. It's also a thing, like if you have an older ratchet and you want to switch, you know, you just want a new handle because it's beat up, or you want to change colors, or you have an old one and you want to do a little custom thing, then you can't really do that if they're not, if they can't press handles for you. So the next thing, I guess, is the chrome and the steel. The steel strength, it's hard to say because I don't really know. If you're using these to the point where you snap the steel, that's I mean, you're probably gonna you're definitely gonna break the head or break the locking mechanism before you break the steel. So I don't really have much to say there. The quality of the chrome finish is pretty good. If this thing will focus, let's see. There you go. Yeah, it's a pretty good chrome finish. And then the locking mechanism, it's just, let's see, I'll do it here on the 1/2 inch because it's the biggest one. So you just kind of flick it like that. Works pretty good. I like that lock. That's what the back side of the lock looks like. Yeah, we've had them for a year and a half. They are getting loose in the joint. They're not, like, I would say it's not unacceptable yet, but they have gotten a little loose. Yeah, the next thing I guess is the head thickness. People always say, oh, the Matco heads are really thin compared to the Mac or the Snap-on. That is true. For me personally, I'm a heavy duty mechanic. There is tight spaces, but not, I haven't ran into anything where the thickness of the head was going to be a make or break on being able to use the tool. So I'm sure in other industries, or maybe small engine, or I'm not automotive, I don't really know, but I'm sure maybe the thickness of the head is a bit bigger of a deal. The only thing is you can see there that the head is slim, but the thickness of the locking mechanism is actually quite thick. On all of them, it's like that. And I feel like I'm not really sure if I've heard someone point that out yet. But yeah, so, but, it's not bad. Yeah. And I would say, overall, these are very simple tools. They're basically a hunk of metal with a handle on them. It's kind of hard to mess it up, whether it's Mac or Snap-on or Matco or Cornwell. This could basically be a hammer if it had a different head on it, right? Like, so, it's kind of hard to mess up. They're very simple. The most complicated part is obviously the head, and this locking mechanism is, a little bit more complicated of a mechanical component, but it's still very simple. And even the head is the most complicated part, obviously, but it's still a very simple component. So the main issue that I've seen is what ends up happening is these heads, they either start skipping teeth or they start switching directions on their own between forward and reverse. And in a year and a half, we've had them, both the 1/4 and the 3/8 rebuilt twice. I think we had them, and then we used them for 6 months, and they both got rebuilt. And then about 6 months later, they both got rebuilt again. So it's about every 6 months that these things need to get rebuilt. The larger 1/2-inch drive we have not rebuilt yet. I think it's either just because the teeth are larger, everything's larger, and we also use the ratchet a lot less. Like, maybe sometimes we use it every day, but it probably gets used a lot less, more like a couple times a week maybe. So that's probably a part of the reason there. The first time that the heads failed, we took them to the Matco dealer. He took them apart, rebuilt them, and replaced the heads. And at that time, he said that he thought that they failed because they didn't get enough lubrication. So he said, yeah, next time you can take them apart yourselves if you want, give them some lubrication, put them back together, should be fine. So 3 months after he rebuilt them, I took the heads apart, fully cleaned everything, re-lubricated it, put them back together. And then 3 months after I re-lubricated them, they failed again. So skipping teeth and, switching back and forth on their own between forward and reverse, which is pretty unfortunate when you're trying to work. So yeah, that was not great. The second time we took the ratchets into him, and he rebuilt them, replaced the heads, and At that time, he said he thought they had failed because there was too much lubrication, or we had dropped them in a bucket of oil or something like that. And we've never dropped them in a bucket of oil. We're very careful with our tools. We wipe them off before we put them back in the toolbox. We use them for their intended use only. You know, we do not drop them. We do not use them as hammers. So to me, at this point, I think that these are a low quality tool, and I wouldn't recommend them to someone else, to be honest with you. You know, the first time it was, oh, they haven't seen enough lubrication. The second time is, oh, they've been over lubricated. So, you know, I don't really know what the answer is there. After they got rebuilt the second time, I waited about 3 months, took them apart, cleaned them, dried them out, and put a very small amount of lubrication in so that, you know, they're basically dry. So we'll see when they need to get rebuilt next. I don't think it's, yeah. So I don't really know. I think the main thing for me is I did a price comparison between the Snap-on and the Matco ratchets, and like the 1/4 inch and the 3/8 drive for the equivalent Snap-on, they're actually more expensive to get the Matco ones. The 1/2 inch drive is slightly cheaper than the 1/2 inch drive Snap-on. But to me, at this price point, like, I think it was $1,020 for these 3 ratchets, to pay, you know, the full new price plus tax. And for the Snap-on ones, it was like $1,050 or $1,040. So we're talking, you know, a $20 or $30 difference. And when you're spending $1,000, a $20 or $30 difference is very little. You know, 10% of 1,000 is 100, and you know, so $10 is 1%. So it's like, you know, 20 or 30 bucks is like 2%, 3%, something like that. That's not going to make or break the transaction. If you're spending $1,000 on a ratchet, you can probably afford an extra 20 bucks. And these, like, as an example, if you only wanted the 3/8 and the 1/4 drive, it would actually be more expensive to buy the Matco ratchets than to buy the Snap-on. I don't know, maybe you're a small engine mechanic, you only want the 1/4 and the 3/8 or something, and yeah, you're actually looking at more money to get these Matcos. And the other thing is, like, if you took a group of people, let's say non-mechanics, right? And you say, hey, every ratchet's free, Matco, Snap-on, they're all free, they're all brand new. Choose one. What are most people going to choose? Well, probably, you know, if you're not a mechanic, you're going to go with what you know, right? And the most likely one you've heard of is Snap-on. So, and then if you are a mechanic and, you know, same situation, every ratchet's free, and they're all brand new, which one are most mechanics going to choose? Probably 9 out of 10 people are going to choose Snap-on because, you know, they've heard about the reliability, they've heard about the quality, they've heard about the warranty. So if the price point is the same, which it is, between Mac, Snap-on, Matco, and probably Cornwell as well, it would be, you know, I think most people would be better served to go with Snap-on because you're paying the same price. And to me, if they're the same price, it should equal the same quality. If to get these 3 ratchets was, you know, $500 instead of $1,000, you could say, hey, I'll get the Matco because, you know, they're half the price, they still have a lifetime warranty, but at that price point you expect them to break at some point. And, you know, but if they're the same price as a Snap-on ratchet, then the quality should be the same. It should not be a matter of a difference in quality at the same price point. It should only be a matter of preference, like Ford, Chevy, Dodge, you know, like, oh, I like the handle better, how it feels in my hand, or I like the color or whatever. The only difference should be a difference in preference, not a difference in quality. You know, I've never owned Snap-on ratchets, but I do know that at the heavy-duty school at the college I went to, they had Snap-on ratchets in the toolbox, and they had a lot of them. These tools get abused, right? They're at school, people don't care. They're only there for a short amount of time every year, and the ratchets have been dropped probably thousands of times. They've been used as hammers. They've been absolutely abused, and they're nothing fancy. They're just a fixed head, no flex head, no lock, no comfort grip, just a steel handle. But the dual 80 heads, and you know, they sound, you know, they ratchet like they're brand new. So to me, that says a lot. And if you're out in the field working, you're out in the bush, if this tool breaks and it's the only 3/8 ratchet you got, whether it's because you can only afford one, or because at this price point you expect, you know, a high quality, if it breaks every 6 months, and maybe the Snap-on, you know, breaks every 5 years, you know, it's many less trips to the tool truck that you have to make. And so I think it's, you know, these are kind of, they're kind of missing the mark. Usability wise, the heads, they do go, you know, more than 90 on the outside and less than 90 on the inside, which is quite nice. You know, you can get into some pretty tight spaces with them. And in this direction, you know, you can kind of use them as a speed handle, or like spin them all the way around. So yeah, they're pretty nice to use. But yeah, not nice when they break. So we have a new Snap-on dealer in town. So what I'm gonna do, what's gonna end up happening is I'm gonna be trading these Matco ratchets in for kind of the equivalent Snap-on ratchets. And yeah, I met up with the new Snap-on dealer and been chatting with him, and he's already ordered them and stuff. So I'll do a little video review when I get those new Snap-on ratchets, and yeah, I can kind of have maybe a little comparison. And yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say is that I'm not making this video to bash Matco or any other tool companies. I think that yeah, Matco's a good, you know, a good tool truck, and the dealer that we have here is really great. But yeah, I just want to make a video to kind of give people an honest review, and maybe, you know, let them know kind of, yeah, what's out there, and yeah, just like give a good review. So the thing with Matco is that they rebrand a lot of their tools. A lot of the tools that they have, they don't make. And I think that, you know, if you're putting your name on something, you should be ensuring that it's reflects the quality that is expected at that price point. You know, at the tool truck price point, they should all be the same quality. You know, Snap-on does rebrand as well, but they make a lot more of their own tools. You know, as an example, I have a set of Matco snap ring pliers, which are made by Lang, and you can get that same set on Amazon or any other site on the internet for $200. And on the Matco truck, I paid $450. So, you know, mind you, with that, I get the Matco warranty, and you know, if you want to warranty a set of Lang pliers that you bought on Amazon, I don't know. It's probably very difficult to get them warrantied. But yeah, it's just good to know about, like, there's another, I got a set of like purple Comfort Grip picks from Matco, and they're super cool. I really like them, and they're made by a German company, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, like, same thing, they're rebranded, right? So I think, yeah, you just gotta be careful and know what you're buying, and yeah.